if we have a square, what do you know about the two sides? They're the same length. So what times what makes 100? 10, or 10 squared. 10 squared. Well, here we have a square again. We know this is 8 and this is 8. So what's the area of the square? Or 8 to the second power, 8 squared makes the area of the square, which is 64 inches squared. 64 square inches, the area of a table. All right? So what's the square root of 64? 8. And we don't write it like division on top. We write equals 8. Okay? What about this? What's the square root of 25? What times itself is 25? 5. What about this? What times itself is 121? What? 11. Okay, so this becomes 3. And a square root symbol is a grouping sign. So turn it into parentheses. So now what do we have? We have 3 times 11, which is 33. Here, what times itself is 1? 1. It's a grouping sign again, so we have negative 1, so our answer is negative 1. As long as you remember it's a grouping sign, after you've solved it, it's very straightforward. I'm going to move it up and we're going to do a couple of the other problems. If you don't practice this a little bit, you're going to have problems with square roots and radicals. All right, let's look at this. What's the square root of 16? 4. What times itself is 16? Square root of 9. What's 4 plus 3? 7. Ah, but here it's a grouping sign. What's 16 plus 9? 25. What's the square root of 25? 5. So this is the square root of 25, which is 5. They look similar, but not the same. Okay? What about this? We know the square root of 64 is 8. What is the square root of 64 hundredths? What times itself is 64 hundredths? It has something to do with 8, obviously. 8 tenths, because 1 decimal place times 1 decimal place makes 2 decimal places, right? Because this times itself would make 2 decimal places under a square root sign, right? Pretty straightforward to see. All right. So think about this. You go to the other side. Here we are under a square root sign. What's 12 to the second power? 12 times itself, 144, plus 5 times itself. 5 squared? 25. What's 144 plus 25? Square root of 169. Anybody know that's a perfect square? 13 times 13 is 169. Now memorize this. 14 times 14 is 196. 13 times 13 is 169. 14 times 14 is 196. Think about this. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times 2. Could I simplify it like that? Yeah, you can. Remember, it's multiplication, so it's commutative property. You can stick them together. Wouldn't that work? Yeah. So what's the square root of 2 times 2? 4. So what's the square root of 4? 2. So what do you notice? What do you think the square root of 38 times the square root of 38 would be? Just plain old 38. Isn't that cool? It is radical. All right. This last section, all you're doing, since we're almost done with the whole sheet, you guys think you can finish it at your table. You're going to do the estimate. So the square root of 10 is between 3 and 4. That's all you're doing.